Welcome back. You're watching Today. Now, during Heritage Month in September, renowned guitarist and composer Billy Monama will take us back in time to rethink our future. Sipho, Hotstix, Mabuse, Judith Sephuma and Titi Luzipo will be among those performing with him in a one-night concert, Mayibuye, iAfrika, the Freedom Songs. To tell us about it, the very man himself joins us in studio this afternoon. And I heard it was a challenge to get you into a formal shirt and blazer for this interview, but you look very nice, and thank you for making the effort.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about this one-night concert and why you thought it was so important to put together the material that will be part of it.
Yeah, Rofhiwa, it was not an easy process. First of all, when you do this kind of a project that is pivotal to conscientize the society, it first has to begin with research. So I grew up from the environment whereby my neighbor in Deep Kloof, he used to play freedom songs, and I've often asked myself, who are the composers? And that's where the interest began. And when I was doing the research, that's when I discovered that there were composers who were part of the Mkhondowesis, who were murdered by Verwoerd in 1964. They were the first black people who were killed by Verwoerd at Pretoria Central Prison, namely very profound, prolific composer Vuyisile Mini and his comrades Zinagele Nkaba and Wilson Kayinga. They were in Tanzania, and while they were there, they recorded an album. So now that album, it consists of various artists. So now sometimes the way the compositions they were structured, there was no metadata like today. Yeah. Today, when you compose a song, they know okay, you wrote a verse, and then they put down on the system. Back then, it was not like that. So that is why the information got lost through those years. So it was interesting for me. That is when I was like, why people they did not get credited, because where is their money going? So I call this project a Mayibuye iAfrika because it has to do with paying tribute to the exiled musicians. So now the exiled musicians, we are paying tribute to the first generation of exiled musicians, like I've mentioned, the Vuyisile Mini, Zinagele Nkaba. That was the first generation. Those guys they were born in the 1920s, 1921 to 1920s. Then the second segment of the show, it pays homage to the second generation that went to exile. I'm speaking of the Hugh Masekela, the Miriam Makeba, because most of them, they left after Sharpeville massacre. So now those people, they were ambassadors. I mean, musicians back in the day, they were like the voice of the people. In 1972, O.R. Tambo, when he was in London, he was so overwhelmed and appreciating how much Jonas Gwangwa, with his ensemble called Amandla Cultural Ensemble, how much they managed to gather a magnitude of audience. Politicians, they were never celebrities. Musicians, they were there as a weapon of communication to communicate with the masses.
Yeah, I mean, you speak about a plethora of music going with composers dating back the 1920s and moving on throughout the apartheid years. How difficult was it for you to organize material for the show, given the magnitude of the work that exists out there? Like you say, music was something that helped us communicate, or the people communicate what exactly they were going through. So there's a lot of that communication. How do you narrow it down to the creme de la creme, if I can say that, of what you'll be presenting?
Yes, I'm a researcher by every day. I interview people. I'm a published author. I write biographies. Educational history. So I've grown up loving history, passionate about history. So now it has to do with the research from the inception of this concept. So I've engaged various institutions, and also, there are people who collect music, collect music. They will tell you they will tell you the history of music. And those people, they're not like famous people.
Yeah.
You find a guy at the township, he's playing this song, and then like, Billy, you know this. You know, that's how I gather music. So I would gather music from the formal institution, and then I would get it from the archivist, you know. So, and if we were to do the whole entire South African freedom songs, it will take us the whole week or the whole month, because there were so many songs. And I know people, when they come to the show, everyone is expecting to hear their favorite
song.
their favorite song. And that night, I'm making a plea to the people that this is the first installment. So for this, we're going to cover until this March, and then the second one, then we'll continue to do it annually. That is the whole, you know, objective of this.
Yeah, tell us about that concert then. You're saying this will be the first installment of what will be many, because like you say, there's an entire playbook of amazing freedom songs that we have. Tell us about this concert, those that will be there supporting you, and what those who choose to buy tickets can look forward to. Well,
those who going to be purchasing the tickets, they're looking forward to a night of revival of consciousness. The reason for this concert is not just a concert to make money and entertain people. The purpose of musician, it was never about to entertain people. It was to communicate with them in preserving culture. So now we're trying to, because it's Heritage Month, we're trying to say, let's look back as a people to remember who we are. So now I invited the people's favorites, the people who were there during the time, that Hotstix Mabuse. He's my special guest, because he was there during the time of Black consciousness, right? He lived that life. So he's my special guest, and I invited Judith Sephuma. You know, Judith Sephuma, she will be presenting the repertoire of Letambuli. You know what I'm saying? And then I have Titi Luzipo.
Yeah.
She will be presenting the repertoire of Dorothy Masuka and Miriam Makeba, and also Wusim Hlongo. People, they're like, Billy, why Wusim Hlongo? They don't know. You see, the problem is that social media has made people to not read more like back in the day. Wusim Hlongo in 1971, she was in London. People like, ungena happy about exile. They don't know that. Yeah. They just know a little. So it's going to be an educational and also a revival of consciousness. Why I'm saying consciousness is because of the social ills that there are currently occurring in our society. Yeah. Men are murdering, women and raping kids and all that. All those things, they are happening because of lack of consciousness. So that is why I call this a project Mayibuye, iAfrika. So I'm saying return Africa. This is not who we are, because dignity, humility, and respect, it is the crucial cornerstone of South African social life.
Yeah, and so with that, who are you hoping will come and watch? Are you targeting young people to come and recognize where we come from and who we are and where we're going? Or is it a concert for everybody?
It's for everybody. It's for everybody. Researchers, music appreciators, scholars, and you know, some other people. I always say this, you know, usually when I do shows, when I do concerts, I always say that I know in the audience there is someone who has never heard about Billy Monama for the first time. They are there on a social date engagement. And then they walk out of there changed. They're like, wow, we did not know all of these things. Because when I do a concert, I present it in a theater format so that there is a AV is designed to tell a story. So it's going to be a storytelling show more than anything. And people from the age of 13 to 100, they are welcome to purchase the ticket.
Okay, well, I am going to be purchasing a ticket. You've convinced me, certainly. And we wish you the very best of luck on this journey. And, of course, like you say, it's the first of many to come. Thank you for joining us in studio this afternoon. That is a guitarist, Billy Monama, joining us in studio to speak about that important concert, Mayibuye, iAfrika. And, of course, the value proposition there is let's return the consciousness of who we are as a South African people.